We've seen the impact that the dream of the modern world is having on the environment and other species. But how is it affecting the human family?
When I was growing up, I always thought that, of course, the world will become more equal. There'll be more people educated, people will get jobs, and we'll all be better off, we'll all be more prosperous. However, what has happened in the last 20 years or so is the world has become more unequal. This idea that the poor will be kind of helped to come along, even though the rich get richer, this hasn't actually worked out to be true.
We all know that a great disparity currently exists between rich and poor. One way to understand this disparity is to think of the Earth as a community of 100 people. Although significant progress has been made in addressing issues of social justice, systems of power and privilege still perpetuate injustice throughout the world. Much of humanity continues to suffer from the legacy of centuries of colonialism, imperialism, and racism.
We live in a world and in a society where there are vast inequities and where there are entire communities that are left out.
Some wins have been achieved over the last half century, and yet when you still go to the neighborhoods today, you find tremendous harsh conditions and disparities, whether it's health or access to goods and services, housing conditions, what have you. It's still really, really tough.
Environmental justice is the belief that no community should have to bear the brunt of a disproportionate amount of environmental burdens and not enjoy any environmental benefits. But right now, race and class are the most excellent indicators as to where you're going to find the good stuff like parks and trees and where you're going to find the bad stuff like waste facilities or power plants. And around the world, that is something that you see.
An example is the Niger Delta of Nigeria, where hundreds of millions of dollars of oil have been extracted and exported. Yet most of the people live in poverty on less than $1 US a day.
And because of the oil activities in this place, a lot of people who go to fishing can't even catch fish. The aquatic life is destroyed.
See, the cassava, they don't want to finish. The oil now is spoiling like this. Our plantain, cassava, cocoyam, everything don't die finish.
All our food, all our fish die finished.
Oil should be a blessing, not cost to our land. But I think it's a cost to our land, man. We are dying here.
What we do not understand is that we humans are only part of this ecosystem. And when we kill part of this system, we are killing ourselves.
I think for a lot of people who are born in privilege, there's a sense of what a friend of mine calls the right not to know. I don't have to know about poverty. I don't have to know about racism. I don't have to know about environmental degradation or environmental justice or injustice because it's not me. I've got my life and I've got my family and I can do what I want. But the world is not forgiving of that much anymore.
A socially just world is a world in which if you had to draw a lot and it would put you anywhere in that society, you would feel perfectly confident. You wouldn't be worried because you knew whatever lot you drew would be a good lot. It doesn't mean everything's equal. It just means that every single person in that society has a decent shot at living the fullest life that they can. But if you close your eyes and you think to yourself, would you trade places? Well, if you wouldn't trade places, then there's work to be done.
Those of us in the modern world have had access to more money, more food, more comfort, more entertainment, more travel, and more communication than any people who have ever lived. But has all this made us happier?
This is not the best of all possible worlds, even though it appears that way on TV and advertisements.
The idea that material gain leads to personal fulfillment has been demonstrated not to be the case. Although incomes have skyrocketed in economically advanced countries, study after study has shown that levels of reported happiness have remained the same or even declined.
The reason that people are into this mass consumption nightmare dream is because people are lonely and people are hurt and people really believe that more income, more stuff, more consumption, more things, the relationship with things will fix the hunger in the human heart. And it will never work.
But it's really tough as a young person. We're seeing really high rates of suicide and people just wanting to check out. There's a much greater level of isolation and that feeling of just being alone.
For people of my generation who are just coming into their experience of despair, as the details of what's happening around the globe become clearer and begin to click into place, there's no language for us quite yet. I think it must be unprecedented on an individual level, on a human level, that we are facing that kind of loss.